Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Psycho, and I've got another Walking Dead video for you all today, and this one is actually going to be pretty interesting. This is over the recent episode we just saw titled East, episode 15, and some viewers noticed in this particular scene that when Morgan and Rick come back to Carol's leftover shootout scene, while they are going towards the body that is lying on the ground, in the left side of the screen by the bushes, you can see a shadow figure that looks like they're watching Morgan and Rick. And I just thought this was absolutely awesome. It's something that is very, very hard to pick up on unless you're very analytic. And another thing that I would like to add on to this is I know that there's going to be a lot of people that think you're reaching, these people are reaching, but let's reference back to a little cool foreshadowing reference in Season 5. Right after the attack on Terminus and Daryl and Carol are talking in a conversation, you can see that on the right side of the screen in the woods behind a tree, there is a hunter watching Daryl and Carol. Now this is an instance of foreshadowing that is extremely hard to find, but it is foreshadowing the idea that the hunters are eventually going to catch up with Rick and his group and attack them, just like it happened in the episode titled Four Walls and a Roof. Now let's go back to what these viewers pointed out in this scene with Morgan and Rick. When I see that some people have pointed out some things that I find interesting and little secrets like this, I always try to search around within the scenes surrounding that scene and sometimes just in the scene itself to see if there is any other hints or anything else that I can pick up on. Now, although this little thing that I'm going to bring up that I noticed doesn't reference to the topic that we're discussing as of now, it references back to a video I did a couple days ago, and this is where you can see the cigarettes to the right of the Savior. Now, unless you haven't seen my video on Carol and her cigarette symbolism and what's going on with her, I would recommend that you watch that. I'll link that in the description below. But the viewers that do know what I'm talking about, we can see this as another instance of cigarette symbolism where Carol chooses death and she chooses to fight for her life, and to do that, she has to kill people. Just like how she told Miss Neutermeyer that those cigarettes will kill you, so once again the cigarettes representing death, they are symbolizing Carol having to kill people to survive and choosing death to protect her people and herself. I just thought that was pretty interesting and I wanted to add that in there. Now let's move back on over to the Savior. I went back over to watch the scene once again in the episode, and the Savior is still the whole time, which makes sense. I wouldn't want to move or make any noise to direct attention over to where I was hiding. My idea is that this is the Savior that was shot but got out alive. Now at first we thought he was going to start tracking down Carol, but as I watched the episode again, it showed the Saviors coming out of the bushes and towards the car to pick up Carol's cross that she had dropped, which references to the idea that Morgan and them have already left. However, he now knows the direction that Morgan and Rick have gone. So now that we have this information, we can assume that he is tracking Rick and Morgan as of now. Now specifically the idea of who I think he is tracking is Morgan, and I have some reasoning for this. The guy that Morgan and Rick found at the stables of the farm, I actually don't think that was the Savior now. I noticed that the guy at the stables had armor on him, and we have not seen any of the Saviors have armor, especially the Savior that we saw got shot. In addition to that, if we go and take a look at the newest promo with Morgan finding the horse, we can see him finding the horse, and we assume that he uses it because he needs to find a horse to go and find Carol. It then transitions over to a person's boots walking along the grass, and then we see a horse's footprint. And by seeing this footprint, we can assume that Morgan is riding that horse, and that the Savior is still following Morgan and his footprint. So now we know that he chose not to follow Rick, but he's now following Morgan. We then see the scene of him gripping the cross necklace, so now we can guess that maybe the Savior is thinking that if he tracks Morgan, Morgan is eventually going to find Carol and he's going to get his revenge and maybe find out some more information about these people. So this is definitely something that's really cool to mention, and I wanted to dig in deeper. Even though I was given the information about the Savior being in the bushes, I wanted to add on to that and see if I could connect anything else to it, and this was definitely a fun time doing that, and I love doing this. I always love these wild theories, even if they don't come true. As long as they make some sort of sense to me, I'm happy doing them. I never want to cover a theory that doesn't have a decent amount of evidence, so this does have a certain amount of evidence in which I wanted to discuss, and even though it might not come true, I thought it was very awesome just to think about, and I wanted to share it with you all. I really appreciate you all watching once again. It means a whole lot to me. Thanks again, guys. Peace out.